whilst conducting my meticulous research for my guest today, I was taken back to 1980, which for me was a real sort of year of transition that was painful, perplexing, exciting, and scary. It was a tussle between my as far as music's concerned, my heavily top of the pops, top 40 oriented collection, my classical cello playing, and a new emerging, kind of through the looking glass world of punk, post punk, and hardcore. They weren't easy bedfellows for 12-year-old me. I can tell you that. Now, one of the songs in that whole kind of struggle was actually Xanadu by Olivia Newton-John and Electric Light Orchestra. And I think that the new punk crowd that I was hoping would sort of accept me would have sent me much further to Coventry had they known that this record was in my collection. Such was the no cross genre rules. So what's this rather tedious story have to do with today's episode? Well, it's as tenuous as you'll have come to expect. After growing up adoring her music, my guest holds the accolade of standing on stage with Olivia Newton-John and a huge orchestra playing Xanadu in front of thousands of genuine fans. This connection, however tenuous it might feel, feels to me in some way sort of serendipitous and actually kind of rather glorious in a way that only music can be. This is really just one part of an incredible pioneering, and I don't use that word loosely, life journey that's led to, kind of 3 solo albums and a whole raft of collaborations with, people like Lenny Kravitz, Gwen Stefani, Tears for Fears, Gang of Four, Boy George and of course David Bowie. A wonderful songwriter, composer, and bass player with a voice to die for. It's a huge welcome to Gail Ann Dorsey. Gail, welcome. Thanks so much for taking time out.
Oh, my pleasure. What an intro. I didn't know the story about Olivia Newton-John and ELO. That's perfect. That's right up
Oh,
my
wow. It was, yeah. I mean, I just find it sort of so I'll tell you a story of this whole thing about sort of genres as I was
Oh, I had my
I
version
guess
of that.
kind of finding I guess it's sort of part of identity finding. I remember when I was at school, and I was probably about 12, I would say. Yeah, so around about 1980, 81. And in the UK, we used to write all over school bags your favorite band names and sort of things like those.
Yeah, we all did the same. Yeah, sure.
And I remember we were down at the sports pitch, and just sort of waiting for the teacher to come and open up, and we'd all just throw our bags down and just wander around and stuff like that. And this particular young kid got hold of my bag.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
what was written on your
He was like, and he was looking at this. And there were all these kind of just as far as he was concerned, things that just didn't make sense, like
right.
how you could like this band and yet you'd like that band, and he was just like, "What the fuck is this?" He was just, and I was humiliated. I was
Yeah, yeah. I 100% relate. I had the same thing growing up. The same thing. People always tease me about my eclectic taste. They were like, "How could you listen to Karen Carpenter and also listen to, Stevie Wonder
yeah,
or or Marvin Gaye or Grand Funk Railroad or
yeah.
Chicago Transit Authority and Dionne Warwick?" I mean, how do these things?
How does it work? How does your mind work to be able to like it? It's, yeah, I know.
It's a funny story though. But yeah, when you're young, I guess it's also that kind of school thing. When you're young, you're trying to find your identity. That's like is my memory anyway of like, who am I? Like, okay, what kind of who?
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of not sure, but pretending they're sure.
Oh, that was exactly right.
So we are, this kind of those growing pains. But
It
yeah,
was,
so you try and fit in with the right thing.
and the thing was that I like when I was a kid. I mean, I still am, but I was incredibly shy. I was really sort of like kind of introverted, and I just wanted to. I didn't. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be, kind of accepted without being too visible and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, right, right.
And that example was just, I was just like, oh no, I can't deal with this. But it's weird, yeah. This sort of identity shaping.
Mm.
But it's interesting how how that how our minds like to put things in boxes almost.
We do, yeah, we do. We all do. And we've been conditioned to it too as well because we grow up into a world that way as young people, no matter what
Yeah,
country we're born into or where we grow up, there's always almost like a set of rules in that culture in a way. And we
yeah,
start growing into those boxes that our parents, so maybe some parents try and move into new directions with their children and
mm.
not do things that they did or try and show them the world in a different way. But the world kind of exists in boxes.
And it
In
was it
some
was the
way,
same.
like capitalism, all that, commercialism, its whole sort
Yeah,
of categories.
it was like the
Mhm.
way that you could dress as well.
Oh,
You,
good.
again that kind of identifier.
Pardon me. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yes, clothes were another
Certainly,
big clothes, how what kinda haircut you had and
yeah.
that it's funny, human beings are funny. The
It's
older I
it.
get, the more I appreciate animals, especially dogs. I've grown to who I didn't like when I was young. I think I was afraid of them. I didn't have experience with any dogs.
Mm,
And I'm allergic to cats and dogs anyway, but I ended up having a dog at one point that was a hypoallergenic, or I wasn't
mm,
allergic to her, put it this way, which was great. But it was a Yorkshire Terrier. Not that that's a
mm.
bad, they're not the easiest dogs with personality. But I had this dog, so I grew to kind of understand the sort of dog thing, and I'm like, humans are we got a lot to learn from these little animals.
What would you
All
what?
animals and nature and all of those things are becoming more
Yeah.
important. It's
Well,
like
it's interesting about I think our relationship and how we perceive nature. So things basically outside human beings. I've as I've got older, I've started to appreciate this more about how we see nature and animals as essentially sort of being subservient to us, as being there for our benefit.
well, yeah, eating them and mistreating them and all
Yeah,
kinds of things. I mean, not that I'm not a animal, people wanna eat meat, that's fine, but
yeah,
I'm just saying but, yeah, they are for our well, we are human beings have decided that we are the superior sort of thing, whether we do that consciously or unconsciously.
yeah.
Or uneven, we're the ones with the brain and the thumb and all
Mm.
whatever, all this shit.
I,
That makes us able to control everything and be and think that we know best, and we just don't know best.
I
You
love
know,
the whole sort of story of of trees and their mycelium network. And about helping each other.
yeah.
Irrespective of whether it's a birch tree or an ash tree or an oak tree, whatever. That kind of sharing. I mean, I just think we've
Mhm.
learned so much.
We realize that we are really all connected.
Yeah,
All of us relevant to each other, and again, we as people, we go in boxes. We grow up being taught to be racist about a certain, other culture, or we grow up
yeah,
being taught to do. Because I really don't believe maybe there's a karma, not a karma yeah, I guess a karma, or, maybe we are reincarnated. I don't know for sure. It's very possible, I think, because I feel like some beings that are here, like one that you mentioned was probably like Bowie or someone like that there was something, they're born with something
mm,
else that's
yeah,
very strong and has come maybe before. But,
mm,
and Prince and people like that, it's like there's some serious special gift there.
very
But
true.
aside from that, it's like I feel like um, uh, we are all connected, we belong, I guess I don't know, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought now, but
it becomes that there's so much to sort of unpack, isn't there, around these kind of thoughts.
Yeah, well, yeah, the thing of just being, I know what I was trying to get to is like, I don't believe that I think we are born very pure and we are very much like the birch tree or the whatever, like that's where we come from.
Yeah,
Sometimes we bring things from another time, maybe, or some ancestral thing that's there or whatever.
yeah,
I do believe in those possibilities as well. I guess that's what I was trying to say, but I think that we get taught to go into those boxes again.
we do.
We get taught to be afraid of mice or,
Yes, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like one those little things
totally.
come from somewhere, usually from the people, the old, who raise us or the environment that we're raised in. We
Mm,
get taught, okay, don't do it. Oh, that person's got dark skin and that means that, or that, it's like it goes through, and then you're little and you start to formulate these things, start to become your identity. Some of them you get rid of, some of them you experience something in your life and you go, oh, well, I learned that when I was a kid, but that's not true. This is
yeah,
now my experience of that. But there are many things that stay forever. I mean, your football team, up the Spurs or
yeah,
whatever, but
yeah, yeah. It's
that's that's my team,
that's
by the
your
way.
team.
I'm hugging Spurs, so there we go, up the Spurs. Um, that was my team. Yeah, we do we are more I think we're much more pure in the beginning, and some of us maybe search to get to that again throughout their lifetime. I guess
Yeah,
that's kind of what Buddhism is in some ways, or some kinds of those types of religions. But for the most part, I think we're all good. I mean, I'm about to put out of some solo material. I don't have an album completely finished yet. I'm still working on some stuff.
yeah,
There's a song that I'm going to put out soon just to sort of get some music into the world. And it's called "It Takes All Kinds to Make a World," and it's a very it's a total pop tune in that sense of 70s singer-songwriter pop kind of thing. A little bit of
yeah,
like very Carole King style
yeah. Oh,
was a
amazing.
bit of the inspiration for it for me. But it's, and it's about that. It's like we are all I know we will disagree. It's just natural. We can't all love and like and be moved by the same things, but it doesn't mean that the other thing is wrong or the other person has to die or it's like we have to learn how to exist with all of those things and you know be nicer to each other, for God's sakes. That's all I mean.
It's
Just be, is it that hard?
is
You know,
is music? I think I probably know the answer to this, but is music your kind of avenue, your catharsis for what you see going on in the world? And
it has been since I can remember. It
yeah,
was something that was definitely born in me. I know that.
mm,
Somehow I came into this world knowing, feeling music more than any other way. Nothing else communicated to me as strongly that
yeah,
existed on the planet. And when I heard music, and especially the guitar at first, like, and those were people like Terry Cass from Chicago Transit Authority, the original guitarist of Chicago,
yeah,
uh, Clapton, Cream Records, Hendrix, of course, Neil
yeah,
Young. We're talking late 60s, they're real early stuff, early
yeah,
70s. And I just thought this really music somehow communicated what I felt, but I had no words for it. I could
yeah,
never explain to anybody what I was feeling inside, and I would hear a guitar solo that would just bring me to tears or just bring me to joy or just elicit these incredible emotions, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's it,"
yeah.
the note
That does
bends,
it.
that's it, it's so weird, but to me, that's the beauty of music as well, of all the languages in the world, and I've tried to learn a few others than English, but um, that no matter where you are, even if you're an animal, it doesn't even a plant, any living thing has a reaction to music. It's a vibration, and
Yeah,
we can hear that and understand that regardless of what language you speak. You hear one note on a violin that comes at a moment in a symphony or something, and you see like people from Poland, you see a 6-year-old child, you see a man from Africa, like all go, so it's
Yeah.
like, there's no connection that's stronger than music. And I
It's
just
it,
knew I had to make it. I knew I had to learn how to do that language because I think I would have just died. I would have died because I couldn't express myself.
there's a phenomenon, isn't there, of when you hear some music, or it might be a particular chord, or the way that
Yeah,
a drum beat is played, and it causes that kind of almost like an uh, an unstoppable reaction, like physical reaction. Like you want to punch the air or something. And it's
yeah,
like
whatever, yeah, dance,
I don't think there's anything else in the world that can do that.
not really. No, it's so powerful. I was recently, I went and did a couple of friends of mine were doing a little a solo show at a club, like a bar that has like a club here, really small scale, but a nice little venue called the Unicorn Bar. And it's a gay place as well,
Mm,
a queer, whatever they would like to be, whatever you call it. But welcome to everybody, basically.
yeah.
And, so, after the little performances I did, after their performances, I did a disco night, like a
Mm,
2 hour. I was a DJ and there was no songs that were recorded after 1979. So we were serious disco, all with drummers. Like, because to me, when people say disco, I've been going to these places saying there's a disco, and it's electronic music. To
yeah.
me, that's disco, but they call it disco. So I was disappointed, and I was like, I want to hear some real disco like when I was a teenager. So I got my playlist together and I had a great dance on the floor, and I'm 62 years old now. It's like I don't dance that much anymore, but I wanted to, and the music energized me to beyond, but I was on that floor for 2 hours just,
Wow.
going through just dancing, and I'm a terrible dancer, but that's not the point. The music was there I wasn't dancing for anybody except to express my to enjoy the music, to feel that music coming through me. Disco music is incredible because it incorporated so much richness. There were string arrangements and horn
Yeah.
arrangements, and vocal arrangement, and the drumming, and they'd be playing one of these grooves for 20 minutes. There,
Yeah.
maybe some editing, but I know the Bee Gees did stuff where they were the first to create loops because
Mm,
they and all those sort of stuff from Saturday Night Live. A lot of them, Fever, sorry, Saturday Night Fever. They had but still, it was like there was a lot of incredible playing going on in
yeah,
that.
for sure.
The
It was
Donna Summer stuff, Georgie
Yeah.
Morelli did the sort of electronica stuff, but there were still drummers and stuff involved. There was still a lot of organicness to that music that is just, and there were some young people at the disco that were way younger than me. They were probably in 20 or whatever. And they were the last ones on the floor at like nearly midnight. It was about 7 of them, a little group that were all dressed kind of, trendy, fun.
Yeah.
And they came up to me and they said, "Is this your playlist?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "We have never heard, this is the best playlist we've
Wow.
ever
Oh,
in a
wow.
club in our life." And I said, "Because it's real disco. It's not what you're gonna hear in your normal
Yeah.
20-year-old right now." It was interesting, so
I mean, it's interesting how again how sort of music can sort of cross, kind of like age groups as well, and that's another area I
absolutely,
think where we're
absolutely.
we're perhaps not doing as well in the human race is
Oh,
the age
yeah.
groups.
There's so much music out there now too.
Mm,
It's weird. I'm learning about it because I've decided to just kind of be a solo artist again for a while, and I've
yeah,
had to make a strict kind of like commitment to that because I'm grateful that I still get calls for work, but I it just takes too much time now at this
yeah,
point in my that I don't have. I need 100% of my wits to focus on me
yeah,
instead of a couple of weeks here while I'm home. I'm gonna try and work on a song now, and it's not gonna happen. I've
yeah,
been trying that for the last 20 years, and I'm never gonna get done. So I've decided, I was like, it's now or never, and I'm good. So now it's like I have a few projects coming up, but nothing that takes more than like a, few days,
Yeah,
seriously.
that's great.
So I'm learning the business, like how much music is out there and how you see it and how young people have access to music and what they have access to. It's I don't know how they do it. I'm used to those days where you have an artist like Bowie or ELO or whoever you like, even if it's Taylor Swift, you get the album and you go home and you sit down with that album for like a week. But now you're
Yes.
online and you listen to it, and then there's somebody else coming up, and so and so's got a new single, and everybody's scrolling and listening, and you hear 30 seconds of a song, and then you're already like, oh, but what about that song? Oh, who put out this last week? It's crazy.
Do you know?
It's really
I,
hard to find the time to really absorb the music like I'm
yeah.
used to doing. And the things I find that I like, I end up doing that. I'll buy a CD. If I hear something on streaming that I like, I'll look for the CD, whether it's their website or the Amazon or wherever I can get it,
Mm,
eBay, and I buy it because I
yeah.
want to support the artist, even though
Yeah.
I don't know
Agreed.
if it happens, but I will physically buy it and put it in my CD player so people don't know what I'm listening to when I feel like listening.
Yeah. No,
Even my car is old. It's 20 years old. It's got a CD player. It's great.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's. I totally hear what you're saying about the
Mm.
volume.
That's a lot.
Everything's now released on Friday. There's just this, and I think people are starting to move to Wednesday now because Friday was so saturated. It it's kind of crazy, but yeah, those days of the release date is going to be, I don't know, like 12th of April, and you would go down to the record shop with your pennies or whatever,
Yeah,
and
right.
such
Save
excitement
to
picking up
come
that
home and rip that
physical.
plastic off or whatever and put it on the
Yeah,
tree. Wow, that was a ritual. And then
yeah,
you look at the cover, like while the record's playing, just studying it even over and over again, reading the notes
completely,
and seeing the
completely,
artwork and just feeling so happy that you have this thing. It's like it's
absolutely.
special, and it is special. But digital world has taken the specialness away from many things. It's made things really just ordinary.
Yeah,
And it's no wonder people don't have a passion or young people don't know where to go or what they wanna do. They haven't been able to develop that passion
yeah,
within themselves for something.
yeah.
It it takes I don't know, growing up. I feel fortunate I'm from the, I guess, last generation that knows that, to be honest.
If we go, Gail,
That knows
if we go back,
childhood without cell phones and things like that.
yeah.
No email or
If for for a second, if we can go back to, because I was in earlier sort of talking about that ridiculous bag story, but that's an event that sort of stayed with me. If we go back to your child, I'm interested in your what you remember as your formative
Mhm.
influences, not necessarily musical, but just kind of things that because I've done a lot of in the past sort of few years, sort of soul searching, and I guess kind of as my parents were getting older, sort of thinking about what they meant to me and what my childhood meant to me. Kind of aging this has had this sort of thing, this effect on me. And there are
Yeah.
things that I remember, both good and bad.
Mhm.
But that I always sort of hone in on those things that I remember and think, okay, how did they sort of shape who I've become?
Mm. Yeah, well, I was very, I was very focused as a child in terms of knowing I wanted to play music or do anything art. I used to draw, I used to
Mm,
write stories, anything. I loved TV, television, movies. I was crazy. Anything that was a creative endeavor that anybody
yeah,
did, I was all over it. And music just happened to be the one that to me was the voice that like that because that kind of went through all of it. Movies had
yeah,
great music, like music was connected with everything.
yeah,
Painters who paint, they listened to certain kind of music. It was all, writers. So music was always the general thing. But I, I was not very social. I didn't
mm,
go out a lot. I didn't really have any desire to play. I hated
mm,
amusement parks. Like I was forced to go on trips like normal, block
yeah,
trips with with the church or the school or whoever, whatever, would go take, we're going to the beach or we're going to the amusement park or the zoo or whatever. The zoo
Yeah.
was kind of, but I never liked those things. I wasn't excited. I like cotton candy, candy floss.
Yeah. Candy floss.
That was the only thing that was the redeeming quality of going to the amusement park.
That was the carrot that you needed to go
Yeah,
there.
I was like, okay, well, at least I'll get some bloody candy floss. So so I spent all my time mostly alone, and I had a few very close friends who were nothing like me in terms of um, just my living in my fantasy world in a way.
Mm,
But they were kind of but they were really they let me do that, and they were part of it if I needed them.
yeah.
Like I would bring my good friends in and I'd go, I'm gonna make up a play today, and I've written this piece, and you're the audience, and then you're supposed to, and they would just come over there and they'd be like, they were out jumping rope a few minutes before, and then I'd drag them into my mother's basement, and I have everything all set up, and they would participate, and they just go, there she goes again with her crazy shit.
Yeah.
But she's our friend, and some of them would be like, cool, like you're introducing us to these things that we would never know about. So there's
Mm,
still have two lifelong friends that from that era that I speak to on a regular basis now. And
wow.
they told me like, wow, we were so lucky to have a friend like you because, we got to do crazy things that other kids didn't do.
Wow.
They were out playing rope or whatever, or dating, or like some interest, whatever they were
Yeah.
doing. That wasn't in my agenda. So I spent and my father passed away when I was just about to turn 6, I think.
Mm,
And I was the youngest of 5 kids,
yeah.
the surprise baby, as they call it. My mother would always say, "A surprise, not a mistake." I used
Yes.
to I used to think maybe I was a mistake, but she would say, "No, that's the wrong word. It's surprise." So, um, by the time I was 10, the rest of my siblings were out of the house. College, Air Force, Marines, whatever, college,
Yeah.
secretarial school my sister went to, I think. And so my teenage years from 10 to 17 or 18 when I left the house, I was just me and my mother. She never remarried,
Mm,
and I was kind of like an only child. And I liked that.
yeah.
I needed that because when I was very young, when I was 4 or 5, I I was asking for a guitar. I was begging for a guitar. And my memory of my father, I think, well, sadly, my memory of my father is that he wasn't very nice. Not abusive physically or anything to me, but he did not entertain my passion for
Yeah.
music. Like he was like, "No way, who the fuck do you think you are?" Basically, maybe he said those words to me, but that's what I
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do that was right. He was like, "You, who do you think you are? You're
Mm,
not going to get a
wow.
guitar as long as I lived." I do remember those words,
Wow.
and I did get my guitar when
Yeah.
I was 9 years old. So sadly, that's my memory of my dad. I totally forgive him now, but
Mm,
because he knows what he was going through, and I know how hard life can be. Now I've learned. But, for a child, you don't know. You
you don't
feel
know.
I was really, but I was very strong for some reason because I could not let that deter me, and I was glad he was gone.
Mm,
Because then my mother, who really didn't understand me either at all, she was born in Virginia in 1921. Imagine what her life was like.
yeah, for sure.
So she was in that time in her early 50s. She had me when she was 41, which was late in those days.
In those
Now
days,
it's
yeah.
kind of a given almost, but in those days, he was like, "What, 41?" So she
Yeah.
was older than everybody else's mom. I used to be a little embarrassed of her, but she looked great. But she was very supportive. It's like I got an angel for a mother
It's terrific, isn't it?
because she didn't understand, but she didn't like and what she would say to me would be like, "I don't get it. Why are you so different? Why don't you want to go out and play? What do you want? You need another guitar string? You need what? Like what? I can't,
Mm,
But then the action would be a couple days later it shows up, or or yes, of
Wow.
course, coming
Yeah.
to your recital, or, she just didn't know how to. So all of that time was building up actually later on her last days of life. It was a very emotional moment without her knowing. I got to understand that what was happening at that time or all my life was that she was proud, but she
Yeah.
just didn't know how to say it. And I
Mhm.
never thought she was. I always thought I was a pain in the ass. And I was sad
Mm.
that I was never around after later in life after I left, and that I wouldn't be there as much as the rest of my siblings or friends or to look in on her because I was touring and I was doing this and I was never there. But every time I came through Philadelphia, every time, no matter whether it was the smallest little band, as it grew up to went to Bowie, she met Bowie, Gwen Stefani, didn't matter, and she didn't like any of that music.
Mm.
She
Yeah.
was at every single concert I ever did, even when I was 15 years old. I would play a top 40 birthday party in some top 40 band for a 16-year-old or whatever, sweet 16 birthday party. And my mother would come and ask to sit in the corner of somebody's little house or boat or whatever they rented for the party with her little purse. And she would just sit there and smile. She was proud of me, even though she didn't understand. And she always would say, you gotta, I don't want you to be grown and you don't make it big, or you don't, you can't do this the rest of your life. You gotta learn, you gotta do something else. But she never forced me. So there was something that she had, that she
Mm.
believed in me, even though she didn't understand it herself. There was something. And so I appreciate her more now than ever, that, thankfully that I somehow the universe allowed the obstacle, which was my father, to disappear so I could persevere.
Did you sort of come to those? Sorry, go on.
No, no, I was very dedicated to that. I knew that I had no option. There was no B plan. I
Did
had to play music for a living, period. Nothing will stop me.
did you come to that those realizations about your mother after she passed? Did you realize them at the?
I came the one that really, like, I knew she was proud, yeah, of
Yeah.
course, I say I'm proud, but there was always maybe it wasn't so much a doubt now that I think about it as my own guilt.
Yeah.
Own little feeling of guilt that I would never really wanna entertain too strongly, that I wasn't with my mother in her older life when I really wanted to be. I didn't ignore her. When I came, I showered her with everything she needed. I tried to do the best I could. But I
Yeah.
knew mother, spouse, partner, friend, wedding, birthday, when I'm out working. That is always been my number one priority. And it's not even a job. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What in my eyes, as a kid, I was like, this is what I want. I want to be on the stage every night playing music for people. I'm the happiest there than I am any other second of existing. So I just my mother was passing away right after I worked for Olivia Newton-John. Right after I had just done my last show with her, the one you mentioned in Adelaide for a festival.
Yeah.
And we were coming back from a little mini tour in Australia, where Olivia had actually taken us to her house in Australia.
Yeah.
Actually took us grocery shopping. I remember I was like freaking out. I'm grocery shopping with Olivia to buy spaghetti and salad. We were
Wow.
gonna make dinner at her house and
Wow.
hang out. And so we all cooked. The two there were a couple, three more members of the band came as well. So, and we cooked in her kitchen and we made pasta and we sat around and we talked and we sang songs, and she asked a really interesting question at the dinner table. I'll never forget it. I told her this. I got to tell her this before she passed, which was great. Is that she asked us, I'm going to go around the table really quick, and I want everybody to say the first thing that comes to their mind of like, what is something that you wish you had done in your life? And it was like somebody asked something, and you couldn't think about it too long, and then it came to me, and I said that I haven't spent enough time with my mother. That was like my answer, and I kind of like choked on my own answer, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the day I landed in New York from Australia, as soon as I was waiting for my luggage, I had a message from my brother, one of my brothers. saying that my mother was in the hospital. She'd just gone in the hospital. 10 days later from that, she passed away
Mm.
peacefully, on no machines, no pain. She just took her last breath, and thankfully I was there. But
Yeah.
when she but had to go home, I just can't I was like, "Okay, I gotta get to Philly as soon as I can, but I need to." So I called her in the hospital, and this was the moment when I knew. I called her in the hospital, and I said to her, she was speaking kinda weird. She was a little out of it. She was
Mm.
just kinda dying. She had cancer, actually, didn't know she did.
Yeah.
But she wasn't in pain, and she just kind of was I think she died of old age, just everything was
Yeah.
tough. She went
Yeah.
to sleep. I mean, she's lucky. I feel like if I could go that way, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
But, um, so she was kind of a little bit woozy, and I'm on the phone with her, and 2 of her friends from her church, she used to go to church a lot, Baptist church, came into the room to see her, and I could hear them. She said and they were like, "Hi, Ruby." Her name was Ruby. How are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm on the phone with my daughter." And they were like, "Oh, do you want us to come back?" And she said, "No, no, no." And then they start to and she kind of forgot I was on the phone. She started engaging with them, and a
Yeah.
couple of times one of them said, "Is she still on the phone? Do you want to hang up the phone?" And she just went, "No, that's my daughter." And she said the words, "She just played with Olivia Newton-John." And the way she said that was the one moment, and I'm on the phone for about 20 minutes listening to her have a conversation. I still get tears behind that
No, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
because somehow the way she said that, I knew she was proud
Yeah.
of me my whole life, really proud, because she knew how much that meant to me, Olivia
Meant to
Newton-John.
you.
And to have just yeah, that was the confirmation out of that just that one sentence.
Wow.
She played with Olivia Newton-John.
That's incredible.
I
That's
will
really
never
incredible
and Olivia will mean so much to me because of that.
because of that.
She was a real special spirit in that way, and she was
Yeah.
interested in people in that way, in
Mm.
in things and how and feelings and where they come from and strength. I mean, gosh, she had battled cancer for 23 years, and then it came back and just finally had its day.
Yeah.
But she was just beautiful all the way through. She was a really beautiful person, and I'm so happy of all my childhood idols that I have no disappointment in that woman whatsoever. She's more than I imagined.
Yeah.
She really was angelic and beautiful person. That was a short time I spent with her, but enough for me to know that that's true. And most people who know her even better, of course, agree. She was a good person,
A,
really.
a lot of what you said about your mother kind of resonates with me.
Mm,
And as you were talking there, when you mentioned it, about when you first mentioned about her being proud of you,
mhm.
yeah, there was a lot of things. My mum, and my dad didn't understand me. I
Mm,
know that but they did so much for me, and I felt
I said,
in
bless
my early years, kind of resentful that they didn't understand me, because I'm an
right,
only child. I'm an only child, and I always felt that the spotlight was on me,
right.
too much so. It
Mhm.
felt claustrophobic.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but they did so much for me, and I knew that. And you're right that I think some of those feelings that I had were probably directed at myself, probably that guilt for
Mhm,
feeling like
mhm.
that.
Yeah, no, I was sometimes horrible
Incredible.
to my because I was a little bit I
Yeah,
think at some stages of my adolescence, I was entitled. Like, "You need to do this for me. I'm not gonna I'm
yeah.
busy writing a script. I'm not gonna wash the dishes. Are you kidding?" Like, I really had I know I had that in me,
Mm,
maybe my own I think maybe sometimes I was a little overzealous in that way or whatever because it was my protection as
yeah.
well. I couldn't let anybody steal away the belief in myself that I could
Mm,
and I could get out of Philly and I could go to Hollywood and I could meet a movie star and I could make music and I could maybe do something in a movie or I could do like I just knew that I could do it if I had the chance and I couldn't let anybody tell me
yeah.
I couldn't. I couldn't let anything interfere with the force of that thinking.
Mm,
And now in life I'm trying to recapture that, to be honest. I guess maybe a lot of life has just, I've lived it as an adult. It's very different than being an adolescent at home with mom
Yeah.
and dad, whoever. But, there's, you have to face a part of reality that is reality that you come to understand as reality anyway. Everybody's reality is probably slightly different.
Mm.
But it's hard to have that sort of that wall so strong anymore because it's kind of part of there's reasons why that and those are just what has happened as a result of your experience of living. You know what I mean? You change. You
You
either
change.
some things strengthen even more, some things weaken, some things are not as clear as they were. Some things are like, well, why? And does it matter? And who, think questions that you ask yourself now that you wouldn't have when you were 18 or 17 or 25.
Yeah.
So it's it's interesting, and I feel I need to kind of capture some of that though to continue now, especially now in what feels a terrain that I was very I've been a part of for almost 3, 4 decades. That's really changed. The whole thing has the landscape has changed drastically quickly. Again, another thing we go back to what we started with, but it feels it's I need you need strength to get to navigate that road.
I mean, this is the interesting thing about what you've learned through your life, and I wondered, spending that time on your own, in your childhood. As I did some of that as well. I had those sort of circumstances for a period, and you kind of get comfortable in yourself and in your own company.
Yeah, true.
Gives you
And
some sort of resilience.
well, that's certainly what I need, you know.
Mm,
I've been in some relationships and it's like it's hard for me to kind of coexist with someone in a sense too much. I need solitude in order to gain that strength.
yes.
Two things I need are solitude and however many hours I need to clock on a stage.
Yeah.
Because when I'm doing a concert, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. Those minutes, either I'm doing my song or 2 hours or however long the time is actually spent when I walk on that stage and pick up an instrument or stand in front of the microphone, is when I suddenly go into what I try and do each day for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, is that's my meditation. I
Yeah.
have nothing else in my mind except music, and
Yeah. It's very
gives
true.
me it gives me health. It keeps me healthy. It keeps me feeling younger. It keeps me rejuvenated. Without that, I start to get really, really dark.
Yeah.
And it's a little difficult now because I'm not on a big tour or anything, but I am doing some solo shows and I need to do more. I just got an
Yeah.
agent. Next year it's gonna pick up even more and I need to balance out that time, the alone time and the time on the stage with other musicians or just when I have to really focus on just speaking with music, with my instrument or my voice. I'm
Do
good.
do you find that there's a difference in how you behave or respond to being on a sort of big tour where it's more of a collaborative situation with other artists versus your solo
Yeah,
work?
it's hard. It's hard. I was talking to I've been working with a singer. Well, I opened for her, and we've kind of become friends. But I saw her
Mm,
yesterday, met in Peru, who's like a sort of jazz singer,
yeah,
uh, blues jazzy thing. But I was saying how it's difficult. Now starting out now because I don't have the resources to have a kind of band like I'm used to playing with
yeah, yeah,
and musicians, unless sometimes I do a local thing because a lot of them live near. We all live like Zachary Alford or Sterling. We all live near each other, so we
yeah,
sometimes end up doing something together locally. But on a larger scale, it's like it's just me and my guitar now, or me and my bass and my voice and it's good practice, but it isn't as much fun,
yeah,
it's still a great thing to get up there and play. I still kinda get still clock those hours of that I need when I just can
yeah.
just express myself to an audience even on my own. But
Mm,
the difference is that it's just the fun factor is not so it's something about and it's not even just having the people there, but it is as well, but it's just hearing the piece in your head with all of the parts. Like I can
Yeah.
hear how the drums would be, like, but no one else can hear it that way. So how do I interpret that feeling that I already, hear inside and bring it out just on my own? And that's also to me a sign of a good song. It's like if I can't reproduce the song that way, unless it's something very particular that's electronic or something and it needs to be done in that way. But most songs I try and write from a perspective that if I can't just do it on the guitar or on the bass, I need to, it's not the song I want to write. So it's my own sort of challenge, I guess, to myself. But
Yeah.
a good song can be played any kind of way.
But
A song,
I guess perhaps the guitar or the bass guitar has become your companion.
oh,
It's been with
totally.
you. It's been with you for so long. So it's
Absolutely.
almost that is
Oh, yeah.
what you need to
Yeah. Yeah.
for
I
this sort
write
of
a lot
expressiveness.
on the keyboard here, like sometimes, but
Mm,
I use the computer for that. I'm not a piano player at all, but I can
yeah,
find chords and hear what I'd like to hear. And
yeah,
then I move it out piece by piece with the help of the computer, which MIDI can do that. And
yeah,
then I get that MIDI track to a real piano player, and then they play it like it really should be played.
yeah, yeah,
I just can do a road map on the piano, but the guitar and the bass are my main instruments. Yeah,
yeah.
thinking of picking up the clarinet again. I'm
Oh
seriously
wow.
trying to incorporate it in some way. So it's
Mm.
a beautiful instrument. I played it as a little girl in school.
Yeah, do you know? It's sorry. I know we need to finish soon, but just a sort of quick sort of thing that it's interesting about reconnecting with those old instruments. So I mentioned that I played the cello when I was a kid. So I was
Oh,
classically trained. I was
yes,
classically trained. I
wonderful.
played from like the
I
age from
love
about
that.
eight to about 16 or 17.
That's the best time.
Did all
Wow.
my exams and passed them all,
Wow.
and then gave it up because I couldn't. I felt like it didn't feel like it was my choice to play it. Felt like it'd been sort of
But
forced on
very
me.
ELO though, isn't it, to play
It
cello?
is, it is.
With that.
But I bought one. I picked it. I went into a shop in Soho in London and went into a shop and said
Mhm.
and just kind of explained. Said, look, I haven't picked one up for 30 years. Would you mind if I just
See, yeah.
played one, see how it felt? And he put me into a room. Thankfully, were a sealed room.
But no one can hear you.
And honestly, Gail, the emotion that I got from just taking the neck
I'm telling you, don't
was
give those things
something
up.
else. Was something else. I started welling up, and when I composed myself, I started playing, and I was obviously very very rusty, but the stuff was still there. So I bought
Yeah.
myself one
Oh,
a couple of years
good.
ago.
There you go.
Bought myself,
Wonderful.
and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I've been kind of practicing, and I
Cool.
want to sort of break out of the trained framework that I have,
Mhm.
of the
Right.
theory kind of stuff, and
That's
break out of that kind of
mhm.
mindset,
Yeah.
get into something different. But I hope you do that with
Yeah,
the clarinet as well, because I think it's an
right.
amazing
It's
chance
yeah.
to do something.
I actually bought one just before COVID. I got a nicer I had my childhood one, which was a plastic, like, Bundy clarinet from like, the school. I bought it from
Yeah,
the school in the late '60s, and it was a crappy little thing, but it worked.
yeah,
But I wanted a wooden clarinet, like a nice one, and I go to hear the classical music at the local colleges and things often, so I love to hear
yeah,
clarinets, and, so I got a French one, a Noble, a nice not too expensive, but a wooden one. It's really
yeah.
pretty. Kind of playing around with it a little bit. It's fun.
Yeah, it's great to hear that. So I really hope that
I know.
it sort of takes off. But
Yeah.
I guess we better finish that, Gail. Anyway, I know you've got other things
Yeah, I
to
can
get
do
on
a
with.
few more minutes if you like. What is it, 2 now? Gonna make another call. I can do, like, another 5 minutes if you like.
5 minutes, yeah. So yeah, I think that those sort of things, they're just sort of so special where it can you're looking at it in a different. Well, I certainly am in a kind of different lens now of
Of
that
course.
I'm thinking maybe that was a necessary experience that I had, that I perhaps wasn't mature enough to do it.
It's
And
okay.
now,
It happens. But it's nice to do, even one of my brothers, none of my siblings were particularly musical, but one of my brothers, he did play. That's what, and they would give me guitar, help me with my music and everything, my older
yeah,
sibling. One of them loved the guitar and bass himself. He played in school. And then now in his later life, he got himself a guitar and got himself a bass, and he plays at
yeah,
the you know community center, what just whatever. But I don't think it's something anyone should give up. It's like if
yeah.
people go running, why not? If you like to sort of noodle around on the guitar, it doesn't have to be for any purpose other than
For any
just to
purpose. Well,
play it.
this is a
It
really good
gives,
point, actually. This is
it
a really
gives
good point, because I started doing some drums, playing the drums a few years ago, and my teacher, I took a few lessons. He said, "Remember, it's not about that phrase. It's not about the destination; it's the journey." He said, "You're rushing to
you.
try and get to the end. Slow down, enjoy the journey."
Mhm. Yeah, there is no end really, other than the end.
Yeah,
So we just keep going.
keep going. Just to finish off, with all your incredible experience and sort of life journey, where you are now, what what it- what does a successful life look like for you?
It would be to be able to success. Oh, I feel like I'm living one now, even though I have
Mm,
my own issues. Certainly, if not touring and everything right now, is this. It's like it's always the financial issue for musicians, no matter what. But
yeah,
I think I think it would be to success would be if I could expand as a songwriter and a composer. I would love to make music for a film or another kind of a project,
yeah,
or to feel that I could, because I hear so much amazing music, and now I'm sort of still doing songs. I'm kind of trying to put this album together. Not to say I can't do whatever I want on the album. And maybe some days I think, you know what? Yeah, maybe I just will put a weird song with a so and so in the middle. But
yeah,
I would like success to me would be to be able to make a living, mostly now, um, yeah, in my writing capacity,
yeah,
so that my music was involved with other projects. That's always been a dream, other than just me going out with a band to play my music. And so that
yeah,
would be a success I would like to see. I don't really know what success would be, other than that
yeah,
I'm healthy and I can get up and I can walk and I can do what I need to do in a
yeah,
day. And I have
yeah.
food, I have heat, and to me that is success,
That's
because
success.
so
Yeah,
many people have fuck all right now, or worse,
absolutely.
fuck all. And I can't, so I'm already successful. But I really would like to see my music expand, so that I'm working towards that as best I can. That thing they call mailbox money. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you so much, Gail. It's been great.
You're
Really,
welcome. You're
really
welcome.
great chat.